Hello.
Hola.
Hola.
How are you?
Sydney's back home.
Yeah. He's got to be so careful. I'm telling you, crazy.
Yeah.
Any little thing,
Yeah.
and he wants to travel all the time. I don't know how he's going to do it.
That's true.
Yeah. Elazar, how much do you charge at your Mincha Marav? Is there a cost?
It's filled up already. Sorry, you got wet. It's a
Oh.
standing room. Yeah, if you
There's
want
a
to reserve,
waiting. There's a waiting list.
I might have an opening in about 2-3 weeks or so. Maybe if there's a cancellation.
Keep me posted, okay?
we had about 30 people tonight. I don't know where they came from. I don't know.
Wow.
At least 30 people came in. So
it's all over the internet. Everybody knows.
It's in Instagram.
The neighbors
Instagram.
The neighbors are already complaining that opening up a shul and like they'll give me the hard time like they gave
I don't want to hear
Rubens.
that nonsense. I don't like those stories.
No, I'm just kidding. They're nice neighbors. Yeah, okay. They're not going to bother.
Yeah, who was complaining? The Smedras?
No, he comes to my minion.
Yeah.
He comes Shabbos.
Wow, nice.
Oh, right. Yeah, he wasn't by us, Shabbos. Oh, that's.
He comes Shabbos or Mincha Marav. Yeah, okay.
You gave him koyin. That's why you gave him koyin.
Everybody's welcome. Even how Walter's welcome too. Even though he came back out of town. Walter, welcome back.
How about Democrats?
Oh, today we didn't say Tachlin. It's holiday, Juneteenth.
Right. Yeah.
So on the news, it started up. The parades and everything. The next part of the newscast is they're going after the money for the money for the
reparations.
Slave, the reparation. That's what they started.
That was a very bad idea. They're not going to give up on that. That's unfortunate that Newsom brought that up. That's going to be very hard, unfortunately.
To stop it, you mean? They'll go after us.
You put that idea in somebody's head, they're going to get free money. You think they're going to give up on it? No one gives up on free money.
They're not giving up on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's either that or going on a riot and robbing all the stores again, like they did.
Okay, guys.
During the
Like the stuff. So.
Yeah.
Lamedal 34.
Like Powell, there's like a rim view.
So, the Gemara questions, Rav Nachman doesn't hold of the principle of Ma Koch Beis Din Yafeh. Koch Beis Din Yafeh was they made a takana. So if that the husband cannot be mavatal the get on his own privately in China, either because of mamzeris or because of aguna, like we said. However, Rebbe said, if he's mavatal it, it's mabutal. And the Reb Shimon Gamliel says, no, it's not mavutal. Because if it's mavatal, then ma koch beis din yafeh. What then you haven't fulfilled the takana of Beis Din to prevent the agunos. How could Beis Din say that a get, that midaraisa is a good get? How can we say that when Rebbe is mavatal the get, they allow the woman to go ahead and get married? She's still an Eishes Beach. When midaraisa, it's been mevutal, the children are mamzeri. So we said there was hafkos kiddushin. Since we marry areas mekudeshes kedas Moshe Yisrael, they're mafkir the chachamim have that power with marriage and with money. Because Hefker, Beis Din, Hefker, those two areas. Kenny asked some questions, very good questions. How does that work? And there are parameters with what the Chazal can be mavatal a mitzvah saseh through shev al taisa. We have to shake the lulav on the first day of Sukkot. Comes Shabbos, Chazal tell us no, stay home, don't shake it. How could they do that? Because b'shev al taisa, you're not active. But Chachamim can never tell you to violate a lav min Torah, period, except for pikuach nefesh. And the exception is the gimel devar that yaharik val yavar. So there are parameters what Chazal are allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do.
But
And
we
in
see Chazal is allowed to uproot kedushin. They're allowed
Yes.
to uproot.
But by the way,
Even not a sheval taseh. Somebody's mitzvah say he gets married, and Chazal can retroactively uproot that.
yeah, but it's not a law. They didn't retroactive. They didn't.
I still think it's
They don't make you do they cannot make you violate a law of min Torah. There's no law because there's no kiddushin. So hang on.
right. But the
Well, I have to
Chachamim
tell
are
you-
saying, in
By
order
the way,
to
Kenny,
defend
we
Mamzerim,
paskin.
in order to save the woman from being an aguna, we're going to uproot the kedushin limafreya. I mean, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and by the way, we don't paskin like Rebbe. Excuse me, we don't paskin like Rosh Hashanah. We paskin like Rebbe, that the husband's allowed to be mevutal, and we don't care about koach based in yofa. So the truth is, we follow your pshat. We don't allow the get is mevutal, and if she gets married, the children are mamzerim. We don't paskin that there's hafkos kidu. We hold like Rebbe, and she better be careful before she gets married to make sure what happened. That's the halacha. And we'll see the halacha here in this other case. Yisomim shabau lachlok b'nichsei aviyah. You have ketanim. The father died. So how do you divide up the assets? The children are ketanim. So based in maminin lam apotropos, Bezdin appoints an executor. Uboirin lan chelek yofe. The executors choose a portion for them. Higdilu yicholu limchos. But when they get older, we can say we don't like the way the chalukah was done, and they can mavatal what Bezdin did. And Rav Nachman Didei Omar Higdilu ein yicholu limchos. Rav Nachman himself says they cannot go against it because otherwise, makoch based in yofe. So you see, Rav Nachman holds of makoch based in yofe. And for the Gemara, Hossa Mamona. When it comes to Yisomim, it's money. And money through Hefker, Bezdin Hefker, Chazal have the power to say, it's not yours, it's his. But Hachi Isura, here, they're not going to be Matir Nashis Ish because of this Makoch Bezdin Yofe. So the husband mevatels the get in China. She doesn't know about it. She gets married. They have children. The children are mamzerim. We paskin that way on both cases. Omer lishnayim kisvu get utnu liishto. Yochel avatel shlichusim losh b'fnei zekediv Rebbe. Hidas Rava post mishal chachrei shitas Rava b'shem Rav Yechon shalochik Rebbe b'shteim. We hold the same thing by the Yisomim, that we don't allow them to protest. So Kenny's concern is not that big of a concern. We don't give the Chazal the koch to do that. Yes, Kenny, there were cases in the Holocaust. Rav Moshe had a famous case. Woman got married. They told her husband died in Auschwitz. Husband showed up, and she had married. There were children, mamzerim. They had children. So Rav Moshe found that the Eidim in their first wedding were puzzled. So there was Havkos Kiddushin, but not that they were not mafkia Kiddushin, Kenny, for no reason. For Stamazor, they say there's no Kiddushin. They found a reason to puzzle the Kiddushin. Either the Eidim weren't good or whatever the problem was. So it's not that they did it, they made the Bila's Nus. Okay, anyways, it's a very, very deep sugya regarding all of this material. Gidul Bari Eloi, Shadal Gidul Idvisu. Gidul sent a get to his wife. Also, the wife was weaving. She was in the middle of her job. Amr la hagitech. The shaliach said, "Look, I want to give you the get." Amr la, listen, zilash to me I'm busy now. Come back tomorrow. Okay. So the shliach went back to the husband, Ozl Gabev Amr la, and told the husband, "Posach woman, Baruch Hatov Ametiv." Thank God that happened. I changed my mind. The question is that enough to be mevatel the get? Remember, we learned there has to be a certain lashon. He has to say mavutel. But by expressing his das, there's a gilui das here that he's happy that the get wasn't given. Is that enough to say that this get is not good? So, by Omer Baruch Hatav Ametiv below batel gita. It's not enough. The gilui das alone is not enough to be mevatel the get. Rav Omer Baruch Hatav Ametiv u batel gita. It is enough to be mevatel the get. B'may kamifli. Begilui daita begita kamiflagi. The bias of begilui daita begita lav milsihi. Just getting an idea from the husband what he likes, what he doesn't. We don't care about that. He has to say this get is bottle. Otherwise, it's not. Ravas of begilui daita begita milsihi. No, it's a milsa. We hold like a buyer. This is one of the cases where we pass him like a buyer. As the Gemara will see soon. That Gilui Das is not enough. Amar Rava Mina Mina Law. Why do I rely on Gilui Das? The Rav Sheshes Ashkele Gitila who Gavra Bal Korche. Rav Sheshes wanted to cause this woman to get divorced, even though he didn't want it. The husband didn't want, but it was maybe a reason Chazal wanted them to be divorced. She was a kohen, he was a kohen, and she was a grusha. Whatever reason, they wanted to be a get bal korcha. So the husband, Amar l'lasaydi hachi Amar l'chu Rav Sheshes levatel gita. He told the Eidim, that Rav Sheshes wants to mevatel the get. V'atzrachei Rav Sheshes gita achrina, and Rav Sheshes has to write another get. Now, it sounds like he was saying that once he was revealed his das that he didn't want that get, even though he didn't say it was bottle, it's bottle. So Rava wants to use that as a raya for him. Ve'abayi otor Rav Sheshes mevatel gita d'ina Shabbat. Is Rav Sheshes going around being mevatel other people's gita? Iu bitla. He was mevatel it. The Baal. The fact that Rav Sheshes said it, mishum de panoi. The agents of the Bezin of Rav Sheshes were beating him if he wasn't going to follow what the Dayanim said. So there's no raya based for Rava. What's my raya? That Gilui Das we don't rely on. The Rav Yehuda Ashkele Gita L'Chasle, the Rav Yomi Biro Vatle. Rav Yehuda also forced somebody to give a get, and then the husband was mevatel the get. Hadar ton of Ashkele al Korche. Varmer Lulusad, and he told the witnesses, put some pieces of zucchini in your ears when you write the get, so you won't hear the Baal telling you to mevatel it. Now, what They knew already that he was not happy to give the get. So if Gilui Das worked, the Eidim saw that he was running after them to be mevatel it, even though they don't hear his voice, they would have known through Gilui Das. Must be Gilui Das doesn't work.
What happened to Makoyach Yafe Beistin? He doesn't even need that. Once the husband's mevatel the get, the Rabbanan have the power to be mafkir the kedushin. She doesn't need a get anymore.
No, well, that's according to the opinion of Rav Shimon Gamliel. I told you the Gemara ended up passing like Rebbe that we don't use the svor of Makoch Bezdin Yafa to uproot the get. We don't do it. They don't have the koch to do it. Don't mix up Hafkos Kiddush like we talked about. Rav Moshe did because he found.
That's what I would think. In a shasik dechak, you can be samach on it.
No, you can't. You have to find Pasal Dike Eidim. You can't just bring Mafkia Kiddushin. If the Eidim were good Eidim, Chazal follow whatever the rules are. If you had good Eidim, the Kiddushin is a Kiddush. You can't Mafkia that Kiddushin. They had to find Pasal Dike Eidim, and they had some. You read the Tshuva, you'll find there was some reason why the Kiddushin was not good. They didn't do Eidei Yichud properly. They found some flaw in the procedure. You can't just Stamazoi do it. So how does Rava how does Rava respond to Abaya's proof? How did Karoit Basrayu? Just because he's running after the eight doesn't mean necessarily he's running after them to mevatel it. Maybe he's running to be mechazik them, to give it. He wants to shepherd with his wife. Amr Abaya. He has more rayas that Gilui Das is not enough. There was a man, who said to the Eidim, he wanted to give the get after a period of time. If I don't return here within 30 days, then the get should have a chalois. So he goes on a trip and he tries to come back. Also, paske mafra. The bridge washes out. He can't cross over. He's standing on the other side of the river, waving his hands. Look, I came back. It's not considered that he came back. We know he wants to be mevatel the get. There's a Gilui Das, yet the get stays in force because he didn't fulfill the Tanai. Rava says there's no proof from there. Also, Hasam of the Tulagita boy, he didn't try to mevatel the get. Hasam lekimui tnoko boy. There was a Tanai. I need to come back within 30 days. Vahaloi kaim Tanai. There was an oinus that happened. The bridge washed out. He wasn't, and we hold ein oinus begitten. So it's nothing to do with the din of bittul. We'll see another case like that. Hahu, there was a person sha'amarluhu, when he had kiddushin with a woman. He wanted to get rid of the kiddushin with a get, and he loaned his sivna. He said, "If I don't marry you with chuppah, ad plus and yomim, within 30 days, lavigita. So here's your get for your kiddushin." He matut plus and yomim. 30 days came by. Amarlu hatrachna. Listen, I tried to organize with the caterer and everything. I couldn't do it. Now, l'may nechashlo. Should we say that this get's not a good get? Imishum onsa. It wasn't his fault that he couldn't organize. It was an oinus. Ain't oinus begitten. You can't claim oinus. And imishum gilui daita begita. Is it because of the gilui das he didn't want to get? Well, that's pluk to the Baivarava. And Allah is like a baya that Gilui Das we don't rely on. Ha'usha Armaluhu, he loaned the signal Reish Yarcha, the other Levigita. It's also a woman he gave Kiddush. If I don't marry you by Rosh Chodesh Adar, here's your get for the Kiddush. Kimata Reish Yarcha the other, Rosh Chodesh Adar came around. Another Reish Yarcha the Nisan. I made a mistake. I didn't refer to Rosh Chodesh Adar. I meant Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Now, l'may nechashlo. Imishum oinus. He forgot. It's an oinus. Ain't oinus begitten. And imishum gilui daita, he shows that he didn't want it, pluked the by Rav, and we pass him like a buyer. The Hilchos Rav Nachman, that you can mevatel get even in front of two Eidim. You don't need a bezdin. The Hilchos Rav Nachman, who said that the halacha is like Rebbe in both cases. Therefore, there's no issue of bakoch bezdin yofta. Rebbe said the husband can mevatel again, and that's it. And if she gets married, the children are mamzeri. The Hilchos Kenachmeni, the halacha is like a baya, that Gilui Das is not considered anything. This is this whole last few blot, a very famous sugi in Gittin. We could spend probably a month learning all the Rishonim here. Mishnah. Rishonim Mishana Shmo Shma. Shem Ira v'Shem Ira. When they used to write Gittin, they weren't so careful to write all a person's name. Walter is Walter, but some people call him Velvel, and you know, people have nicknames, and they would just write the regular name and of the woman. They would write the name that people use in that city. And sometimes people had one name in one place. They were called something else, someplace else. They would be magarish with the name that they used in the place where they wrote the get. And they weren't makpid to write both names. Later on, Hiskin Rabbi Gamliel Azokein, Sheikoisev ish ploini v'chol shum sheyeshlo. Such and such guy and all the names that he uses. Ish ploinis v'chol shum sheyeshlo. Maybe another place, they won't recognize the name. And they'll say the get's not a good get in that place. And they'll say that the children are mamzerim. If she got married to a second guy and they had children, they'll say it's not a good get. That wasn't his name. All right, Amar Shmuel. Shalchulei b'nei min adina sayam l'Gamliel. You see, even at the time of Rabbi Gamliel lived in the time of Yavna. You're talking about 100 CE. And people used to send chuvas from wherever they sent it, from Spain, Italy, B'nai Medina Sayyam. They sent a tshuva to Rabbi Gamliel. B'nai Adam Aboy Misham Lekan. People who travel from Eretz Yisrael to Italy. Shmo Yosef, v'koren lo Yochanan. His name is Yosef, but here we call him Yochanan, or vice versa. Yochanan v'koren lo Yosef. Hech megarshin ishoseyim. How do we write the get? They want to get a get. Omad Raglil v'yiskin shu koisvin. Ish ploini v'chol shum sheyeshlo. Chaim Yankel, and any name that he goes by. Ish ploinis v'chol shum sheyeshlo. Mipnei tikun ha'olam. Amar Vashi. V'hu tis chazik b'trei shnei. You only have to do it if there's a chazaka that we know he has two names. It's yadua to us that he has an extra name. Amalei Rav Abel Rav Ashi. Rav Mary Rav Elazar Kaimi Kavosech. Rav Mary Rav Elazar hold like you that there has to be a chazaka that he has two names. Tanya Kavosech Rav Ashi. Hayulo shtei noshim. Achas b'Yehuda v'achas b'Gol. A person had two wives, one in Judea, one in the Galil. V'lo shnei shom shemos. He was also called by two names, Echa b'Yehuda v'Echa b'Gol. Different. He was called in Yehuda by one name, in Galil something else. The Gereshus Ishtosh Yehuda b'Shmosh Yehuda. The wife in Yehuda got divorced with a get that only had his name, the way he was known in Yehuda. And he gave his wife in the Galil a divorce. V'Shtishosh b'Galil b'Shmosh b'Galil. Eino migurashas. Ad shigars Ishtosh Yehuda b'Shmosh Yehuda v'Shem the Galil imo. He has to give a get to his wife in Judea with both of his names. And he has to give his wife in the Galil a get which has both of his names. If he goes to a third place, not Yehuda, not Galil, and he only used one of his names, Migureshes. Mishum deva also makom lo yimol zokim shelo shnei shemos. Rashi says in those places they didn't know that he had two names. Aval biyuda yud yodim sheyesh lo shem acher, and same in Golil. Leficha chutzra kol shmosov shechazrat volvneim. The bachas chazakas. Let me go after the chazaka. They had two names. I, the Amrit, shame the Golil imo. Even in Yehuda, they had to add the shame of Golil. L'shma mina, Hadi is chazik. There was a chazaka that they knew in Yehuda that he had two names. And in the other case, the law is chazik. There was no chazaka that he had two names. Shma mina, it's a good raya. Ayid Abu Karula Miriam. There was a woman, and some people called her Miriam, Upurta Sara. Amin Ardoi, the Chacham in Ardoi said, you have to write Miriam v'kol shum sheyesh lo, because that's her main name. The lo yichtav Sara v'kol shum sheyesh lo. You have to go after the main name. 80% of the time, a person is called by such a name, that's his main name. Mishnah. Ein almana nifros ksubasa, ein almana nifros menichsa yisomim, ela b'shvua. When a man dies, the widow can collect the ksuba. Now she has to take a shvua to them that the husband hadn't prepaid some of the ksuba while he was alive. Nimnu malashbia. If they prevented her from taking a shvua, and the woman was going to lose out, so the Yisomim started to make it hard on her to take a shvua, and she would lose out her ksuba. The Gemara will explain how that happened. Hiskin Rabbi Gamliel Hazokin should take no ders Yisomim kol ma sheyirtzu. They would want her to take very difficult nedorim, like you can never eat fruit if you ever ate something from the ksuba. She was unwilling to take such a neder. So he said, you can take any neder you want, the gobe ksubasa, and she can collect the ksuba. And if she had really taken money before from the husband, she wouldn't be able to eat anything. So she's not going to take, because we're not choisha that she's going to be over on her neder. We're going to learn, remember, a Mesira Karti, we'll see, it's another takana that you don't really need the Edim to sign on the get. Doesn't affect the get, but for Tikkun Oilam, we'll see Rav Gamliel made a takana that they should sign it. And a last takana, Hillel Hiskin Pruzul, that they Tikkun Oilam. Shemitah comes and says you don't have to pay a loan if it's the star. So nobody lend anybody any money. So Hillel made a pruzbul where everyone would give their shtaros to Bezdin. And through that process, it would avoid the Shemitah wiping it out. And that's what we're going to learn in the Gemara. Now, my area almona. What special you told me an almona has to take a shvua? Anyone who tries to collect from Yisomim, if you look kolamanami, if you want to collect a debt or anything from Yisomim, you have to take a shvua. The kaimelon, habali par menichsa Yisomim lo yiparla b'shvua. If you got to be paid off by Yisomim, you need to take a shvua. Almana itzrach, the chiddush is an almana. Maybe there are a lot of takonas that Chazal did regarding the ksuba to make women want to get married. Maybe they were makel here to the women as well, that they could collect without a shvua. Kamash Blondit, no, she needs to take a shvua. This also is going to be a very interesting Gemara. So tomorrow we'll learn also at 7:00.
Shkoyach.
7 p.m. So that, and then the tsurba will be at 8:30. So we don't have to learn late. Okay?
Okay.
Good.